My name is Erin Heekin. I am a career coach and certified career counselor. And today we're going to talk about job search strategies, your online presence, and utilizing LinkedIn and the internet for your job search. So we're going to discuss having a proactive job search, the three-step search, and the importance of networking. We're also going to talk about not just creating your LinkedIn, but using your LinkedIn. Very important difference. And then we'll have some time for questions. So one of the biggest mistakes that job searchers make is they have this idea that they're just going to start looking for a job. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do. I'm just going to see who's interested in hiring me. And this often leads to not getting many interviews and having a very long, drawn-out job search. Really, the best way to have a job search is to know what your goal is. It's just common sense. You can't achieve a goal until you have a goal. So for the first few slides, we're going to talk about setting your job search goal. First, you have to look at yourself. Really consider what your next move is and what job role is right for you. So for a lot of the people watching this who are doing a certification or badging program or apprenticeship, you are gaining a lot of great hard skills, and that is probably your next step is probably going to involve what you have been working on through your training. So that makes it a little bit easier to look at yourself and know what skills you want to market, but also consider your hard skills that you've developed in previous roles and your transferable skills. So hard skills and transferable skills is something, you hear a lot of, but sometimes you may not know the actual definition of. So transferable skills are the personal habits and traits that influence how you work on your own and with others. So transferable skills can be your communication style, customer service experience, willingness to work in a team, needing to work independently, where your hard skills are the technical knowledge and skills that you've gained through work, education, training. So really think about, so maybe you are doing a cybersecurity certification. So that is great, but what other hard skills do you maybe have to offer your next position as a result of your previous jobs and education? What transferable skills do you have to offer? Do you want something that is very customer oriented, where you're maybe working with clients and explaining technology with them, or would you prefer something that's more independent? And then that's another important part is consider your work value and preferred work environment. So are you looking for a job that has a traditional 9-to-5 schedule? Would it be better if you did something that had a night shift? Are you looking for something like a lot of people right now that would provide you the opportunity to work remotely or at least hybrid? So really know yourself and know what setting and what job role is going to be the best fit for you. Then you want to do your research on what's out there. So what are you looking for and where are you going to look for it? If you want to do cybersecurity, you should know, well, what companies in Louisville has cybersecurity jobs? If you're in healthcare, what major healthcare companies are there and what kind of jobs do they offer? Additionally, job titles can sometimes change depending on the company and organization. So knowing too, what is the main job title you're looking for, but what are some other job titles that could describe the work that you want to do? And knowing the requirements of those jobs, knowing that you're actually a good fit and knowing that it lines up with that stuff that you learned about yourself, about your transferable skills, your work values, and making sure that what you think you want to do, when you read about it, that actually sounds like something you want to do. So, and where can you do this research? I mean, really the first place is the internet, just by Googling it. But professional associations can be really helpful. onetonline.org is the database created by the federal government that categorizes different occupations. Business publications in Louisville, Business First is kind of the bigger business publication. A lot of cities will have Austin First, or some other business publication that's really focused on talking about how our business is growing, what new businesses are coming into town. So if you read an article about how there is a tech company, you know, moving into Louisville and opening an office soon, you know that that probably means they're going to be hiring a large group of people. So you know to keep an eye on their website, you know, and see if there's an opportunity for to apply to a job. Using LinkedIn, which we'll talk about, and then online professional groups can be really helpful and something people don't talk about but utilize a lot. You know, there's places that we don't really consider professional spaces like Reddit, Facebook. You know, generally we say that that's not where exactly you're putting out your work brand, but they can be places where you can find people that specialize in the same field that you do. You know, Reddit has some really great information. You know, anything where you can connect with people who are in that field to give you advice is really helpful. So now you've looked at yourself and thought, what do I have to offer? And you've done your research on what type of jobs you're looking for, what the landscape of your industry looks like. And of course, because you watched my last workshop video, you have an excellent resume and know how to write a cover letter. So now you are finally ready to job search, sort of. So when we talk about job searches, there's really two places you do your job search. So what people normally think about is the open job market or overt job market. So basically what we mean by that, this is internet job listing websites. Traditionally, for the bigger ones, I really only recommend Indeed and LinkedIn. You know, things like Monster, Career Builder really have been kind of overtaken by spam at this point. So I really recommend, if you're looking at a big aggregate job board, to really focus on Indeed and LinkedIn. Also, company websites. Remember, because you did that research on what companies are most likely going to have jobs that you're looking for. So don't wait until one of their job listings shows up on Indeed. Check their website regularly and see what their job listings are. Also, if you can apply for a job on a company website, do that over Indeed. Some companies won't look at their Indeed submissions if they have enough that's come into their own application system. It can be kind of complicated because sometimes their Indeed account will just take you directly to that company website, and that's kind of the same thing. But really the preference is to apply on the company website. Which may mean taking a few extra steps of opening up a new account, things like that. Professional associations can have job boards, specialty job boards too. You know, I'm not saying Indeed and LinkedIn are the only place to look for jobs, but those are the big job boards that I would recommend. You know, there are sometimes niche job boards. There's healthcare related job boards, nonprofit related job boards. If you are interested in a government job, be it state, city, or federal, your best bet is to go directly to their websites. And one thing I will say about a federal job application is just be extremely picky and detail oriented when completing their applications. You really have to fill everything out just like they're asking you to. So a job fair, that is a traditional way to find a job. Workforce development boards. So sometimes those are called the unemployment offices, but really that's a very outdated term. Often these are really amazing resources that are open to anyone in the community, and will have their own job search board, may have people whose job it is to connect high need employers with people looking for work. So in the Louisville area, we have Kentuckiana Works. But wherever you live, you probably have some workforce board that is providing those services for you. So that is the overt job market. You know, when someone says, okay, I'm applying for a job, that's usually what people think of. They think of sitting in front of the computer and sending out applications online. And I am not going to say no one gets a job that way. A lot of times you can get a job using the open job market. But a more efficient way to job search, and especially in times where there is not such hiring demands, really the best way and strategic way to get a job is to look at what used to be called the hidden job market. Now it's actually moving into the term the gated job market. Dorky workforce development information you don't need to know, but you have maybe heard of the hidden job market. This idea that many people get a job that is not even posted, or that employers already have an idea of the person they want to hire when they're putting that job listing up. So how do people get those hidden or gated jobs? Through networking, referral, previous experience with the company. So maybe you had a job and you liked working at that company and you grew out of that role or something else happened. But, you know, if you left in a good place with the company, you can apply again for another job, you know, and the fact that you're familiar with the company and people are familiar with your work will work to your advantage. Prospecting letters. So this is the idea of directly emailing or sending a letter to a hiring manager. You know, some may say this idea is slightly outdated, but it really can work. And then being recruited. So instead of you going to the company and asking if they have a job, you know, the thing that people are always hoping is that someone will just come to them and say, do you need a job? I have all this money to give you for a job that's perfect for you. You know, that's what everyone wants. It doesn't always happen. But, you know, you can see really all of those parts of the hidden job market are really related to networking and relationships. And that is the difference of a proactive job search and someone who is passively job searching, who is applying for a job and not knowing what is going to happen with that application. You know, if you are a person who's applied for professional jobs before, I am almost certain that you have had the experience of applying for a job, knowing that you're a good candidate, that you have the experience that you're looking for, you know, they're looking for, creating a good resume, writing a cover letter, getting so excited about this job. And then what happens? You never hear from them. They don't even send you an email saying they're not going to interview you, you know, and then that can really hurt. And it can happen a lot. But that is what happens when you're passively job searching. When you are using a network to job search, then you are going to be applying for jobs and having some kind of inside information. Someone who will tell you, hey, you know, they reviewed your application and unfortunately they're not moving forward. You know, sometimes even hearing bad news is better than hearing no news at all. And then hopefully too, that networking will be what lands you the job. So how to build a professional network. I think this can seem really intimidating. And the difference between your professional network and, you know, your personal network, they can blur together. You know, many people, think about how you have gotten jobs in the past, right? Even your job in high school. It might have been because your friend worked there or your cousin worked there. Definitely my first couple of jobs in high school were based on either, my mom knowing someone who worked there or having a friend that worked at a place. So even when you think you might not be using your network to find a job, oh, I've never done that, you probably have in some way. So to build your professional network, you want to see if there's any professional associations or networking groups that you can join. And again, these can be something that are local to your city, or they could be something that is strictly online. Talk to professionals about what they do and gain advice for pursuing opportunities. So that's called an informational interview. I'm going to discuss that a little bit more. Stay in contact with your network. That's the big thing. When you get an opportunity to speak with someone or you make a connection with someone, it's not that you need to get lunch every week or send regular emails, but, sending an email, letting them know how your job search is going, maybe sharing something relevant to your profession, is a way to stay in that, to keep that connection, that they're not just a person you met once, that they are a professional connection. Definitely utilize LinkedIn to connect with other professionals. Don't be afraid to let people know you are looking for employment. So this can be hard depending on your job status. If you're currently employed and you don't think it's in your best interest for your employer to know that you're job searching, that is understandable. That situation does happen. But sometimes too, when people are looking for a job, they feel like that's a deficit for some reason, and they don't want to tell people they're unemployed or that they're looking for a job. But you never know who is connected to someone who could be a good connection for you. So, of course, it can't be the only thing that you talk about. You don't want to be that friend, but letting the people in your life know you're looking for a job in this type of industry or this type of work, that could spark something in them. But also, you are never asking someone to get you a job. Definitely not someone in your professional network, someone you don't know very well. You're not asking them to get you a job. You are getting information from them that's going to help your job search. So, in my opinion, the number one way to build your professional network, the easiest way to build your professional network, and to feel like you are doing something for your job search that has a really quick return on investment is informational interviewing. So informational interviewing is basically a career coach way of saying, asking someone if they would like to go to coffee with you and talk about their career path and what they've done. So of course, it may not be coffee, it may be over Zoom, it may be over the phone. You always want to respect someone's time. It might be best even to just email them some questions. But, this is something that seems really intimidating, but almost every job seeker that has done this has told me it's one of the most useful things that they've done for their job search and their career in general. So an informational interview is an opportunity to gain information from someone who is in the career field that interests you. It is not an interview. And again, do not ask that person to help you find a job or to give you a job. You don't put that on a stranger. But instead, it's an opportunity for you to learn from them. How did they get into the career field? Also, again, making sure that what you think you want to go into is really the right field for you. What does your average day look like? What do you like and dislike about a position? And even though you're not going to say, get me a job, you can ask questions. You can ask them to review your resume. Ask them what would make you a more competitive candidate, how you can gain experience in the field. You can ask them if they know of any jobs that are open in their company or in their industry in the area. that is an appropriate question for you to say, or like to ask, or like, well, what type of roles at your company should I be looking for that would be appropriate for me to apply to based on my experience or interests? That's an appropriate question. And you have these conversations and it's going to give you a ton of useful insight. What are they looking for in a candidate? Do I need to dress up at it? Like, how important is wearing a suit to an interview versus being more casual? Finding out that inside information is going to be really helpful. And then hopefully, too, you're top of mind. So when something does open up, they're going to be the first person you're going to be the first person they tell. Maybe they'll tell you before it's even open, and then hopefully they're going to let the hiring manager or the department manager know, I met this person who is applying and they seem like they have what the job requires. And that is the difference of getting an interview and not getting an interview. Because as we talked about in my resume workshop, when you apply for a job online, hundreds of people sometimes apply for that job. I noticed today a job listing that had been posted for 2 hours and it already said 120 people had applied for it. So you need something that will make sure that someone looks at your resume. And that is why having an internal referral is so important. And someone to give you that information that you need to make sure that you pass that interview. So this all connects to LinkedIn. And also, I'm going to take a quick break. I did not preface this like last time. If you have any questions at any point, you can put them in the comment section and I will address them at an appropriate time. But does anyone have any questions about traditional networking? I'll let you think about it. I can come back to it. And I am going to give me 1 minute. I'll let everyone think of some thrilling questions while I pull up my LinkedIn. It's coming, I swear. Okay, Lily or Annika, am I showing my LinkedIn or am I showing the team screen?
You were showing your LinkedIn, and now I can see our the
conversation. Yeah. Okay. 1 second. Ooh, there we go. Now you can see the LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay. So, at this point, most people know what LinkedIn is. LinkedIn is a professional networking site. It is Facebook for your profession, Facebook for your job. At some point, you have probably been sent an email saying that someone asked you to join LinkedIn. A lot of you who are watching this maybe at some point signed in for LinkedIn and never really utilized it at all. And that is totally understandable. I am not going to talk about how to set up your LinkedIn necessarily, how to create an account. That's pretty intuitive, but I am going to talk about some features that are important when job seeking. So one thing about using LinkedIn for your job search, some people will say, oh, I need a LinkedIn because that's where recruiting happens. And that is true. A lot of recruiting does happen on LinkedIn. Actually, it's really the number one place, the number one tool recruiters use for recruiting candidates right now is LinkedIn. But for a lot of people, depending on your field, you may not be in the position to really be recruited. Though with the job market being the way it is, that likelihood is increased a little bit. that you're in a position, especially if you have an interest in going into technology, IT, cybersecurity. If you're in healthcare, that's another area where it is possible to be recruited. So how can you be recruited on LinkedIn? It kind of works like your resume in the way that the recruiter is looking for certain keywords and experiences, and then you show up in a list and they can look at your profile and decide whether or not to contact you. So kind of skipping ahead, this is what your LinkedIn page looks like, just the home page. You'll see in the middle, they have a feed very similar to Facebook. But again, this information should generally be related to people's profession, professional interests. And of course, just like Facebook and everything else, there's like sponsored ads from companies. But you'll see that most of it is about people's jobs. So the first thing that you need to do is have a complete LinkedIn. So you can do it a few ways to fill out your information. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about filling out your profile, but you can go two places. You can go to view my profile, or what I did was I just clicked that little icon of myself. And you can see almost everything has any place where there's a little pencil, that means you can change it. So some of the key areas that are important, having a profile picture. Everyone's least favorite part, but it is important. You know, if you're trying to make connections with someone you met in real life, it's nice to know that you're actually connecting with the person you met and not another person named Megan George. You know, additionally, one of the good things about having a LinkedIn is that it puts you in control of your online footprint. Generally, when you search yourself, you Google yourself, if you have a LinkedIn, that's going to be the one of the first things that shows up. You know, and you want them to see that, maybe not, depending on how old you are, your Facebook from when you were in high school or something. So it puts you in control of your branding. So you want a picture, you want something, it does not have to be a professional photo that you pay for. You know, actually, generally my advice is to have a neutral background, which I do not have in this picture. And it's even a little farther than it probably should be, but you want something where they can, you know, really see your face, where you're dressed professionally, and there's decent natural lighting. This is something that someone can take with their iPhone. You know, put on a collared shirt and a blazer and, you know, have someone take that iPhone picture for you. You don't have to overthink it too much. You know, depending on what you do, you kind of can get in a little bit to your professional brand. I work at U of L, so, you know, having the card in my photo is appropriate. If I was job searching and didn't want to work at U of L, that probably wouldn't be a great picture for me. You know, if you want to get more creative and into it, technically you can change that banner. They have some that you can pick from that are just kind of like designs. And I use something that kind of went with what I do, which is helping people get a job. You're automatically going to have a job title. Now, okay, there's two things that I really want to show you. Number one is editing your URL. So this is important because this will give you the ability to have a website, a LinkedIn website URL that isn't like your name with 5 gazillion numbers after it. So you just hit public profile setting and URL, and then you can see right here, there's this little pencil, and you can do some version of your first name, last name, numbers, you know, depending on how prevalent your name is, essentially. So this makes it really easy to put your LinkedIn on your resume, which if you have a LinkedIn, you should do. Okay, so you're going to customize your URL, and then this is a feature that a lot of people don't know about. And if you do want recruiters, hiring managers to reach out to you on LinkedIn, this is what you need to do. So I am not open to work, just in case my boss watches this. I'm not going anywhere, but but I did want to show what it would look like for everyone else. So there will be a little box after your profile name and photo that will say open to work or not looking to work. And again, press that pencil and you are going to be given the option of filling out what type of job you are looking for. So you can type in job titles. Again, if you're someone who knows, well, I really want to find a remote job. If you know, okay, I'm moving to Charleston, South Carolina, so I'm looking for a job there, you can add the location where you want to look for a job. Start date, flexible, what type of job you're looking for. And then you can set it to who sees this. So right now, only LinkedIn recruiters can see it. You know, there is still the possibility if you are employed and you are worried about your, you think there might be some kind of retaliation from your workplace for looking for a job, you know, even though this is limited to LinkedIn recruiters, you know, your company may have that subscription for their hiring team. So, I mean, there is a chance that someone from your company may see that. So just be aware of that. And if you're not working and looking, or it's not, you're not concerned about your current job, you can also set it to all LinkedIn members. And that's what gives you that little picture banner that says open to work also. So if you've noticed that on people's LinkedIns, that's how they get that. Then, you know, you really want to, the parts that are really important of your LinkedIn profile are filling out a professional summary, your about section, which if you have a short professional summary on your resume, you know, you can really just put that there. You know, maybe if you can add a little bit more detail about what you're looking for, that would be good, but don't stress out about it too much. And then the experience section is really just going to be cut and paste from your resume. Same thing with education, licenses, certifications, and badges. So if you are getting a badge, usually that's through, there's a few companies that actually give you the badge and do the credentialing for the badge. And to my knowledge, when you go to like the Badgely website, you have the option of connecting it to your LinkedIn right from there. That's a great question. What is the best practice for the level of detail provided in the experience tab? I would say go for it. You want to add more detail. And I will say my personal LinkedIn is not the best example right now because in my last couple jobs, I didn't write as much as I probably should. But you want to be pretty extensive if you can. You know, as much as possible, though, focus on the things that are going to be transferable to what you want to do. Or that demonstrate leadership skills, transferable skills, anything that you can quantify and qualify. But the good thing about a resume or your LinkedIn versus your resume is that your LinkedIn is really like a digital portfolio. Where, you know, we talked a lot about how your resume really needs to be edited down and really just focused on what's important to your next step. Your LinkedIn can be a little bit more comprehensive. So additionally, besides experience certifications, you can add some skills. You know, it's a really nice touch if people happen to give you some recommendations. You can add some projects that maybe you've done that you want to showcase that you've done in work or school. And you can even add multimedia links to that too. So if you did a project that involved you creating a video or a website for an event that you planned, you can put that, you can link that in that information. So it really is your digital portfolio. So you need to have your LinkedIn profile filled out, because that is how people are going to find, recruiters are going to find you. That is how people are going to, get interested, look at your profile and get interested in you. But again, your LinkedIn, it is not about just creating your profile. It is about using LinkedIn to network. So it is totally normal to add people on LinkedIn who you don't know. That's a little bit different from Facebook, right? We don't usually just go adding a bunch of strangers anymore on most social media sites. But on LinkedIn, that is appropriate. And actually, I'm going to switch back real quickly for these last few minutes to the PowerPoint presentation. Does anybody have any questions about using LinkedIn and like setting up your profile or anything like that? If they come to you, just put them in the chat. Okay, I'm pretty sure everyone can see this. Okay, everyone can see the maps. People want to let me know if you cannot see my LinkedIn, let me know, but I'll assume that you can see it.
We can see the PowerPoint right now.
Great. Okay. So yes, the PowerPoint, not the LinkedIn. So you are establishing your professional brand as we talked about it, and you are using LinkedIn to build and maintain your professional network. So go back. A lot of times, sometimes people you work with can be so close to you, like family, right? But then once you leave that job, you slowly grow apart from those people, from those ex-coworkers. So LinkedIn is a great way to reconnect with them. You never know, again, you never know who might know someone that would be a good connection for you. LinkedIn is great for research. So just type in a company that you're interested in. You can pull up people who work there. You can pull up the jobs that they have listed. Again, when researching job titles and companies, that's going to be a great way to do it. If you know that you want to be a cybersecurity analyst, type in that job title and see the people that are in your network that do that job. And they might not be connected to you, but they're in your network some way. And read about what did they do before that? What training and education do they have? What companies have they worked for? All of that will help you know where you should be looking. And reach out to people on LinkedIn. So how it will get you the job is by following employers. And that's another great thing you can do on LinkedIn, is that when you see an employer, there'll be a big blue button that says follow. And just click that, and then you are going to get updates on when they have job openings, when they post something in their activity. But the job openings is the important part. Connect with recruiters and hiring managers that work for the companies that you're interested in or the industry. So you can figure out, you can type in cybersecurity recruiter, healthcare recruiter, see what comes up. Or if you're looking at a very specific company, look for their hiring manager or recruiting. I have a link that will be included in the YouTube video of some templates that you can use. So some suggested ways of how to write those LinkedIn messages, because that can be really intimidating. It seems very easy. Oh, just send a little message to connect with them. And again, a recruiter, they may return your message. They also may be receiving 50 messages that day from job seekers. But it's totally appropriate to send one message. Don't send 10. But asking someone to connect and saying, I see that you are in hiring in this industry. I just received this certification and have these additional experiences. I would love to connect with you if there is something that would be a good fit. That is totally professional and a great way to cut out some of that time of your job search. So what other questions do we have? Anything? So I will leave you with, have a plan for your job search. Know exactly what you're looking for. And the main way you are really going to move that job search along is by networking and growing your professional network. And one thing that I failed to mention too, with every interaction with a professional, always follow up and say thank you. It's really appreciated and it leaves a really good impression. And again, that's how it goes from a person I met to once to someone I am connected with. Yes, I do. So in the resources, I have a template, but I give this script a lot. So when you are connecting with someone on LinkedIn, you have the option of writing a message or not writing a message. I suggest writing a message. When you get something online, it's nice if you know exactly what a person's intention is. So if you are trying to connect with someone who works in the industry you're interested in or a company that you're interested in, I would just say, hello, I came across your profile and I noticed that you work in cybersecurity and I just finished this training program. I also live in Louisville and I would love to connect with you. Or I would appreciate, excuse me, this is words. I would appreciate to connect with you. And you're not necessarily asking, if it is someone who you would like to also ask for an informational interview, ask if you could ask them some questions, that's a good time to do that. But you don't need to necessarily do that right away. Just say, hey, can I connect with you? That is the point. That's why everyone's on LinkedIn, right? To grow their professional network. You don't have to offer to take every single person out to coffee. Just say, I want to connect with you because I noticed you worked at that company and I really respect the work that Humana does for the community. So, and like I said, in the resources, there's some great templates. Really, if you Google LinkedIn networking templates, there'll be a few resources that come up. And that's one of my go-to with any kind of professional email that may seem a little uncomfortable is Google it. There are some examples out there. Of course, sure, there might be some that aren't the greatest, but sometimes little things like that can really trip up people, job seekers. It seems like, oh, that's such an easy thing to send a short email, but it can actually in the moment feel really intimidating. So having an example to go off can be really helpful. That's a great question, Lily. Anything else? So everyone in today's session, everyone watching this session, this workshop in the future, you are going to work on growing your network, appreciating the people that provide you information and professional guidance. You're going to fill out your LinkedIn, look at it every day, continue connecting with people, talking with others about your profession in professional groups, professional associations. And that is how you really build a career and get ahead in your career. This isn't something that you're just doing for that next job. This is something that you're going to do and maintain for your career because that's how people get ahead and move up and move to the position that they're looking for, is really through networking, referrals, having professional relationships, and people knowing you as a person in that profession. That is how people get ahead. And, I'm an introvert is really less scary than it seems. So I hope you take that away. If anything, I will be back at the end of June to discuss effective interview skills. The final step of your job search is the interview. That's really what gets you the job. So I'm excited about that. Please join me. And there is a list of resources here. And to my knowledge, when they post the YouTube video in the YouTube description, they'll list those links too. So for anyone who's interested in that. And if no one else has any other questions, I really appreciate everyone's time.